All right, folks, welcome to part one of a three-part mini series focused on a very hot topic at the moment, and that is all about the CMDB. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about healthy CMDBs, dirty CMDBs, self healing CMDBs, and it's kind of a lot to take in and unpack. So today we're going to focus on what are signs and symptoms that your organization could be experiencing if you have an unhealthy CMDB. So first, let's take just a quick step back and define what are we talking about when we say CMDB. So that stands for Configuration Management Database. And that is essentially the system of record for your technology infrastructure and digital service data. So the CMDB is made up of CIs, which stands for configuration items. And those CIs could be anything from servers to software applications to services. And really, what the CMDB does is map those CIs so that you have a very clear picture of the relationships and the dependencies between those items. So that is a very oversimplified way of looking at it, and it's very important. So let's pretend, you're feeling under the weather, you're not feeling great, you make a doctor's appointment, and the first thing the doctor's going to ask you is, well, what are your symptoms? So, let's pretend that your CMDB makes that appointment, you're, diagnosing, you're the doctor, and, the CMDB is saying, hey, not feeling great. So, three examples that really came to mind that I wanted to focus on that I think are near and dear to not only the hearts of a CIO, but certainly also top of mind for agents. And probably they don't even know it, but for your end users as well. And those are outages, reporting, and incident resolution. So, example number one, outages, if you have an unhealthy CMDB. So outages can occur with hardware, with software, and when you have an outage, you need to do proper, resolution and know what else is going to have a ripple effect by this particular piece of hardware, a server, a network device being out. So the longer it's going to take your company to resolve if you don't have an accurate picture of what software applications, other hardware services are tied to that outage. And so, really, if your outages are taking a long time to resolve, to report, to do the root cause analysis, to open problems based on that outage, that is going to be something that you're going to want to look into and see, why did an outage of this server in Arizona, we didn't know that this service run by finance was tied due to point A to point B to point C to point D. And so you're not going to properly be able to communicate that outage out to your organization if you don't know truly what's being impacted by that outage. So that's scenario number one. Number two, reporting. So organizations typically do quite a bit of reporting on processes, turnaround times, and certain measures of success that are critical to your organization. So typically, that reporting is going to be used maybe to evaluate the effectiveness of certain business processes, of teams, and I would hope even to inform decision making conversations around, do we keep using this application? Is there a better solution? Maybe even resourcing. Do we have too many agents assigned to this particular group? Maybe we need to reassign. Who knows? The reporting can define so much. So if you are pulling reports out of ServiceNow on changes, problems, incidents, again, outages, we just talked about that. If you don't have a properly mapped and healthy CMDB where you know truly on a very granular level what services, applications, network devices are impacted by each other, then your reporting is only going to be giving you a very small slice of the pie in terms of what's actually going on behind the scenes. And you could be making decisions, or, reporting that, cascading that up to your top leadership when in fact it's not the whole picture. So I think reporting is a really key area of the platform that, we kind of just assume reporting, we don't really think about it or deep dive into it too often. And reporting, if you have a very healthy and a well organized CMDB, your reporting is going to be so much stronger than an organization's whose CMDB is not fully mapped out, not built out. Those relationships are not defined, et cetera. So I'd say reporting, number two. Last but certainly not least, something that is, in my opinion, the bread and butter of the ServiceNow platform, and that is incident handling. Every company has some way to report incidents, right? You're an end user, you're filling out the incident form, and you're selecting, what is this incident in relation to? So the most common out of the box way is to have a field for configuration item. Remember, we talked about configuration items are really what make up the CMDB. So out of the box, there is a configuration item field in the incident form that your users are required to select from a drop down menu. If you have CIs that say laptop, password reset, those are very high level descriptors of what's going on. So if your end user says, laptop submits the incident, maybe they give a little short description, your agent's working it, that agent could need to ask them, is it an Acer? Is it a Dell? Is it a MacBook? Are you using a VDI? Are you using a desktop computer? And that could impact the resolution path of what that agent does and what they need to do and other teams they may need to loop in. So the less specific that your CIs are, the more work that causes for your agents. Another great example of this is the password reset. That is a very common incident type that end users submit to get assistance with. Password reset does not provide a ton of information because we don't know what system or application requires the password being reset. And so again, that's going to cause your agent to have to reach out back and forth. That's going to slow down the resolution time, and it's going to also, keep your agent from being able to work on more tickets. So those are two very good and fundamental examples of ways that if you have a very solid CMDB mapped out relationships dependencies, you can have Acer laptop, MacBook, and the more information that you can be providing to your agents, the better. So again, these three examples, outages, reporting, incidents, that I think would resonate with a lot of companies and organizations. Not meant to be an exhaustive list by any stretch, but I do certainly hope that it gets you thinking about your own organization's CMDB health.